This that level we tryna be on, oh yeah. Now we having fun and I recognize the vision's clear. This that level we tryna be on, oh yeah. Phoenix rising up, celebrate, let's all cheer. All right, well, I appreciate you, Wyntrrs, coming out for the very first ever Frequency Moves Communication.
Of course.
This is a very new idea. This is something we never even intended to be in this space, but
It's true.
now we're here naturally doing it like we have everything else that's been going on. So I appreciate my buddy Derek's behind the camera helping out. He's been here setting up. He has got some knowledge in podcast and vlogging that I don't, and getting that awareness and just working together. We've also been screwing around for the last 2 hours that nobody's gotten to see that part. But
yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno. All right. So just to kind of kick it off to get started for the night, this is absolutely designed to be kind of a deep dive, a little bit of an ADHD dive into an album discussion for Wyntrrs Madame, which is coming out pretty soon here. We're real excited. We got a chance to be a part of the listening party last night.
Yeah.
And I think I just want to start with a little bit of touch on our history.
Okay.
And then you can come in here in just a moment and I'll be done speaking because you know me and being too wordy. But I enjoy getting the chance to chat with you, brother.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having this first one. Thank you for having me. I'm honored for real.
Of me as well. And, you know, this is just a complete experiment, but it's just to be real, genuine, have a deep, like you said it in the post, nerdy conversation, like just to get real. And that's kind of like how real this is our history starts because I was doing a bunch of events and open mics, and my relationship with W from Frequency 450 was developing strong, and we were both helping each other, supporting each other. We both care a lot about community. And one night down in Grand Avenue, when we were trying to help out a tea place down there, I had the opportunity to meet you because you came out to see Dub when he was grabbing the mic for one of those pop-up things that I was doing. And we hit it off in the sense of talking about music and philosophy, all that kind of shit. And it kind of led to you coming over to the Meraki events and then pretty much getting heavily involved in the Meraki events to the point where I think you even won 2 competitions in a row.
Yeah.
You remember those moments?
Champs. Yes, of course.
And just, you know, that can... In the meantime, in the background, we're collaborating here. We're shooting the shit. We're having good conversations. We made the track "Hey" together. It was the first one I've ever. He brought his Kurt Cobain to that, which was amazing, and that was really cool to add to the hook because I just had mine, which is fun because it's a little bit like "fuck you," right? But at the same time, it's also like empowering. And then yours kind of brings in that alt rock vibe, which is exactly what we needed to like soften it just a tad bit. And the counterpoint between the two of us in that song is one of my favorite things about that song. And from there, it kind of led to more collaboration, more conversations. Honestly, an in-depth conversation between me, you, and Dolly Rock is what led to the home shows.
Yeah.
Right?
Late night conversation.
Right, and what were we talking about in that?
We were talking about, it was just the idea of like, we need more presence. Because, you know, social media makes everything seem so fast. Even the culture that we're in right now, it makes everything seem so fast. We just wanted things to be more present. We brought up Prince, rest in peace to Prince. We brought up him and how he used to do like house shows, like just at his house. And everybody would have these dope stories like, yeah, it was like Childish Gambino and all these random, Eddie Murphy. Yeah, we used to go to Prince's house all the time. He used to perform there. So we were talking about that in a late night. It may have been, you know, after... It may have been during the witching hour, but it was golden ideas. It was a golden idea, and yeah, you just ran with it, and it's like, yo, we're doing this now. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's dope. It really evolved. To see it evolve, it was great.
And then that turned into 7 iterations this year.
Yeah.
I mean, we started with Collide.
Yeah.
Then you, and then we made our way around Poster Child and a few other artists, a bunch of amazing artists. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it was just such a fun experience because the authenticity is there, right? And not to stake claim to anything special other than we just wanted to be present again. And it made for what that experience was. So that's kind of led to the moment where we're at now. We just been kind of riding that vibe, that wave together. I've done outside shows now too, and you were involved in setting up the first one of those. That was a big hit, one of my favorite moments ever, like really getting out there. How did it feel when people always view the last act as the most important thing in a set, knowing that the way I viewed it at that time, like the middle gels everything together. Was it viewed to you as like an honor or a good thing, or was it like, oh shit, why am I not going last? Like, how did you take that?
Honestly, I don't try to take things too personally when it comes to like, because obviously, I have trust in you and your idea of who you want to line it up. And, you talked to me on the phone about it. Like, okay, this the reason why this is happening. Like you had already said, even if I had that idea, which I'm not saying I did, of like, damn, you were like, yo, this is the reason why I'm doing it like this. So I didn't take offense to it. It was the middle. I'm like the PB and J in the middle, just because there's so many diverse sounds and ideas like with my music that like I felt you like, yeah, gel this. We're going from this to this, and you're in the middle. I'm like, oh, that's fine. That's cool. I felt great about it.
And then the point I'll take out of that is the diverse sounds and the being part of the middle, and that's exactly what's to me going to be the biggest picture of the excitement of talking about Madame tonight. Is that idea of how diverse your sound is in that album, how much is going to come together, not to spoil things to come, but just how well you truly bring like a 360 of perspective around for that whole album experience. So I guess to dive right into it, let's jump right into it, guys. I'm making fun of IG right now, by the way, guys. Okay, so the album cover. Can you? We actually have a copy of the album cover here, and we'll get into a little bit more of the value of these and what they mean for him and his own household. But what's the inspiration behind this?
So Madame is a character that I kind of like had an idea about, and this is how I would imagine a male named Madame would look like. It's a androgynous male, but as you can see, he got the shit kicked out of him.
He got bandages everywhere.
Yeah, he has bandages everywhere. He's crying. Like, we had the drip is the drip. So I kind of imagined him as like it's like a redeemable villain. Like, so you know how you'll see a villain, you're like, man, I hate his guts. And then you get like a peek into like his life. You're like, oh.
Now I feel for him.
Yeah. Now I understand. So I wanted to show the emotion, but I also wanted to show there's a lot of not necessarily contradicting things, but things that it's like, why is he crying, but he's dripped, things like that.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the reason why you have, and not to spoil it, we have the divide of the three colors, and then it's right in the middle. So it gives away a lot without giving away too much.
Okay. What was involved in the creation of that? Who was involved in the creation of that?
So it's this Twitter artist. His name is Bliss. Bliss Studios, BLYSS. I got to make sure I spell that right. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
And yeah, I saw his art one day, and I was like, yeah, he's gonna make the album artwork for this. I don't know if I could show previews or whatever, but yeah, look him up if you can. But yeah, he was drawing a lot. He was making a lot of like anime-ish, but it was his own style, and so I was like, yeah, he's definitely. I spun the block on him like 3 times. I was like, yo, today's the day. No, I'm joking. All right, today's the day. But the second I got him locked in, and I got outside of my ADHD brain, that's how we got this. And within like a couple of weeks, I'd say he finished it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So not to get too far into the coloration of it or the sides and the value of what that means, but what connectivity does this have to, and this is such a loaded question because now that I've been to your album listening party and I've been in your home, and thank you for having me out.
Of course, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. It was a great experience. I mean, the energy was just so real the whole night long. So many real friends, but we'll get into that a little bit later too. But that hallway you have representations of both the previous creations that you've had prior to this. So explain a little bit the value of album artwork in general for you and what it means to you.
I see albums like I would see like movies or books. Like I feel like that cover really needs to captivate exactly the story that you're trying to tell. Don't give away too much, but also like, get people curious of like what is this? Like what's going on? Why is this here? Why is this person doing this? And that was all of those artworks lined up next. I wanted to show the progression of like where my music was to where it is now. I wanted to show how weird we can tap into it, the progression of that. I say weird in the positive way. I don't say weird as in a negative way. But I wanted to just show the progression of like where we were and where we're going. So, yeah.
Okay. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
When you go down that hallway and no one's at the house and it's just you, does it ever cause any moving thoughts or introspection for you when you're just like looking at the shit you've been through or where you've come from, where you started?
Yeah. Yeah, when I'm by myself, like I had a couple of those moments last night at the party. Like we were vibing, we were listening to music, but I was staring at him. I'm like, man, look at how far we've come, not only like musically, but as a person. Because I try to encapsulate a moment, like however chaotic or however sad my life is in that moment, I try to. So when I look at a certain album cover, I'm like, I was fucked up. But, we trudge forward, we move on, and, look at another one. Damn, I was sad then too, There's a lot of commonalities, but there's also like a lot of new energy with every single closed book. There's a new open one nearby. So yeah.
Excellent. Well, speaking of books, let's get into this current chapter or current epilogue or episode. And I'm not going to do too much on the trilogy idea. Let you get there a little bit later. But what were some of the major inspirations or ideas behind envisioning this album? What led you here over the course of time? And I'm going to add the second part of the question. How long did it take to get there?
Okay, so I'm going to go in reverse. How long did it take me to get to this? 2.5 years. It took 2.5 years to make this album.
Ooh.
Yeah. I went through so many ideas.
It sounds like 90s.
Yeah, I went through so many ideas. I went through so many. But I think it's just, when you have like a certain frequency in your head, no pun intended, you have a certain frequency in your head and you just really want to find things to match it. It's like, oh, this is so close. But it's like, we have to keep finding it until we find it. And then, it's like Avatar, the blue people, not the other one, where you just put the ponytail in. It's like, that one don't connect. It's so close if I feel it. But this one connected. And then as, time went on, it just kept like falling into place of like the ideas and the perspectives. And what was the first question? I apologize.
No, it's okay. You kind of went into that too because you used the timeline to get back into the vision. And I was like, how did you envision this? But you're really doing an excellent job describing the evolution of the process even within the album growth itself. So it's just like, where did this particular album stem from? Like when you first, like, you know what, I'm past Elephant. This is what I'm doing next. What?
I envisioned. So I was listening to I was listening to a lot of different music at that time as well. So I think that kind of helped broaden the perspective a little bit more. So I was listening to like my foundation is Because the Internet by Childish Gambino. That's my base. That, in my opinion, I can't speak on nobody else. In my opinion, that's a perfect album. So I feel like I'm forever going to be chasing that album.
Which album?
Because the Internet by Childish Gambino.
Okay. That's
in
great.
A positive way. Like I feel like that's a motivation to me. If I ever feel like I got to that point, there's probably going to be another album that, but that's always the foundation for me. And then, whatever albums I'm listening to at the time, I listen to a lot of Jaden Smith. I listen to a lot of The Weeknd. So
have you heard Sao Paulo, the new one that came out?
I did not.
Like, I'm gonna start DJ. By the way, DJs, use it before it's too late.
Shout out DJs and shout out Sao Paulo. It was After Hours at that time.
Oh.
Yeah, it was After Hours.
Great album.
Oh my gosh, I listened to it so much. So between the sad boy vibes of Jaden and like that synth pop of After Hours, I feel like, and just the lyrics too.
Then that totally makes me see the part where like you can bring so much positivity and pop and like harmony into such sad and emotional music where you're just like, I want to fucking vibe to this, but oh wait, listen to that message.
But
so
I'm crying in the club.
Yeah.
I am crying in the club
That's
right now.
me in the corner. Bobby Bankz was one of our, shout out Bobby Bankz, great local artist. If you don't know him,
Bankz.
I'm sure most of you do. But Bobby's always out at First Friday. He's always supportive of the community. He works hand in hand with Clyde. He just has great relationships with everybody around town. Is in tons of shows. But the reason I shout out to him right now is he brought up this amazing question last night and it's not like it's the most thought-provoking question anybody's ever come up with in the history of time, but it was so right there and no one's even thinking of it or saying it. But when he said it, I was like, damn, that's like epiphany worthy. What are the age of some of these songs? When did you create them? Why? Were they all continuous or is there more of a story there?
I think they were actually I can't even lie and say that they were continuous. It was almost back to the Avatar thing. I think they all kind of fell into place. Like I knew I had a very, very raw skeleton. If I ever showed this note to anybody, it's gonna look crazy because it's like, all right, we're gonna go like this. No, we're gonna go like this. But I knew what story I wanted to tell. So it was just finding the songs to match that vibe and match that energy. So they weren't like laid out at a very specific. They weren't laid out like in sequence. They were laid out, and then I kind of like let the sequence happen on its own. So I think the oldest song is probably around the 2-year mark, and then the most recent song was probably 2 months ago.
Well, I'm gonna follow up with which one's the oldest.
I think Fluorescent Tears is the oldest.
Really?
I think Fluorescent Tears is the oldest.
Which ended up being number 1 on the track. Mm-hmm. That's a pretty nice coincidence.
Yeah, that one's the oldest. And that one sets the tone, I think. So I kind of found the bass with that one. And I knew who I wanted on it. So with that, I'm like, okay, we could go anywhere from here. You know, now that I have the first track, I feel confident about whatever roller coaster I'm trying to get to.
Ride that we're taking from here. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, as soon as we start talking about songs, that first track comes out the gate unreal, and your feature on that is just an absolute amazing person for the Valley, and just how hard he hits his bars on that. But we'll get into that in a bit. Just wonderful track.
Yes.
Let's get a little bit further into the overall sound of the album before we start getting into some of the details.
Okay.
My observations. Mm-hmm. I'm going to start there, and then I'll start going into questions if that's okay with you.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest observations for me, and I've probably said this to you 5 or 10 times, I said this 2 or 3 times last night, is I view it as like this album is curated like a DJ would curate their set. It contains different energy levels. It contains high points and low points. You don't put all the bangers together and then burn everybody out. Mm-hmm. You bring in some songs and then you drop the energy and you bring the energy back up. Am I in any way, shape, or form accurate in thinking that way?
I think a DJ set is like interesting because you are a DJ, so it's funny that angle of it, and I will never tell anybody that they're wrong in how they receive anything.
That's beautiful. That's art.
Exactly. Once it's out of my hands, it's not mine anymore. So I think that's interesting. So you're not wrong. I can just offer my perspective on it. I just really wanted to show the peaks and valleys of everything. But I also, like you said, I also wanted to keep in mind to not crash out anybody in any specific direction. By the time we're in that space, we're off to the next space. So I really leaned into that idea of like, okay, we're going to be sad. We're going to be sad for, we're going to be up for this long. We're going to be sad for this long. We're going to go vulnerable for this long. I wanted that. I wanted you guys to feel it in the moment of the song, but I also wanted you to understand there is progression still, like through the story. Like, okay, where are we going? Like, I know we're moving, but where are we moving? And I wanted that level of unpredictability to maintain throughout the album. I didn't want no 2 tracks to be the same or too much. So
did you just describe in the human experience literally what a sine wave is?
I did.
Like, we're talking records versus MP3s right here, literally, but at the organic level. That was beautiful. When it comes to the outros and intros, I feel like there's a ton of connectivity there. Like, you're bringing chapters of a story together and gluing them together, whereas a lot of times people use interludes to have an impact or just do something completely different or just something creative that happened in the studio that they want to add to the album. But I feel like yours gelled the tracks together. Is there any accuracy to that statement?
Yes. Yes, I made a genuine effort to gel them together without using interludes because that was like a thing that I wanted to do. In Elephant, I did that. I used a lot of like interludes and written parts. I wanted it to be funny. This one, that one I wanted people to just follow movement. But yes, I wanted every song to feel like it segued into the next one.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm going to interrupt with one quick question, and you can come back to this later if you want to. You can say no comment. But What attracted you specifically to using that Ferris Bueller sample?
That's one of my favorite childhood movies, which is funny because that movie came out way before I was even born. But my mom had a very big obsession with 80s movies, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, top two in 80s film land.
Wow.
For me, I haven't watched them in a while, but I was raised on those films.
My entire childhood just sparkled in my eyes right there.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like there's such a time gap, but like we're still. But that's what media is, honestly.
Right, because it
put
helps
that
you
out.
relate to a time and makes a time timeless.
Exactly.
And then like not going back to classics. I shouldn't call 80s movies classics. But remember we were just talking about the young lady that called Eve classic hip hop right now? I'm like, oh my God, how old am I getting? But at the same time, good. There's value in even seeing what I used to think was current has value as it expresses to future generations, right? And Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. I mean, that we could spend a whole hour just talking about that movie alone and the quality of the growth in that experience. But
Shout out Christina Applegate.
oh,
Sorry, I had to
I
get
used to
that
have
off.
such a crush on her when she
Me
was
too.
little.
Me too.
Oh, shoot. All right. Well, at that point, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with you. I've got definitely plenty more questions for you. Thank you for being here tonight.
Of course, thank you.
And then looking forward to a little special experience later as well.
Yeah.
All right.